So my name is Nikki Salzman. Um, oh my God, I forgot half of those questions. My name, my age, where I live.
Uh-huh.
All right, let me start over again. My name is Nikki Salzman. I'm 29. I live in Adams Morgan in DC.
Nice. It's a fun neighborhood.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're here at your job, Washington Hebrew Congregation. Can you tell us, what do you do as the communications manager for Washington Hebrew Congregation?
So my primary role is to make sure that all of the programming that we do gets out to our congregants, gets out to the community at large. We have a lot of programs happening here, often multiple in any given week. And we have a couple of different channels that we use to get that information out. We have our website, which I'm one of the primary managers of. We have a weekly e-newsletter. We have a bi-weekly print journal, our social media, which I also manage, and then just a variety of flyers and other opportunities to see our content when you actually come into our two spaces, the one here in Washington, D.C. We have another space in Potomac.
So it's a lot.
Hold on 1 second. Just when the sun comes, it's just slightly touching your face. So can you move just half a foot that way?
Yeah. Is that half a foot?
Yes, you're perfect.
Okay. I'm like, I don't really know how much half a foot is.
So you put a lot of that information together. What kind of, you say you have speakers, are you involved with organizing those speakers, or?
No, so I support we have a program director, so she is the primary person who does the booking of our speakers. Our clergy is involved in that process. We have several event planners on staff who are involved in that process. And so my role is a supporting role to make sure that I'm taking all of their content that they're putting together and making it something that the public is interested in, and also, making it shorter, snappier, visually appealing. So it's really just that component that sometimes gets left out of other organizations. We kind of have me, and there's another communications manager as well, and we have a 3-person communications team total that come together and make sure that everything is packaged properly to go out.
And you said, you're trying to figure out what appeals to people, what they like. What do people like here at Washington Hebrew Congregation? Do you have, any hand in looking ahead and seeing what might be good to organize? What's on the horizon for you in your role?
So there's a couple of different components with that question. As any organization that puts on a lot of programs, part of what we do is when a program ends, pause and go, okay, what worked right? What didn't work right? What did our congregants get from it? How did this enrich the Washington Hebrew community? And to take that and go, okay, is this the right direction for next time? Or how can, when we do this next time, make it better? And certainly communications team here and myself are involved in those conversations, even though we're not the primary planners. As for knowing, what our community wants, some of that is looking back at what's been successful, and some of that is looking at what's being done around the country, what's not being done yet, but should be done. And then coming together as a group to think about how can we make that appropriate for Washington Hebrew? How can we put the Washington Hebrew stamp on it?
Is there anything that you think should be done that people should be seeing more of that maybe we're not here or in other congregations nationwide or citywide?
So we have a whole slate of programs. And what I would love to see is to have more people who maybe are outside of Washington Hebrew, Washington Jewish Week readers, to start looking at our calendar, to start looking at what we have. We do, in addition to our worship services, in addition to our religious programming, just an incredible series of speakers with Jewish themes. We have an Amram Scholar series, which brings in authors, usually once a month, to talk about their recently published books. We have one of those coming up on the 29th. Oh my God, though, I'm blanking on the author, but we have one of those coming up soon.
This will probably run after that.
Yeah, that's okay. But we have, an incredible slate of lecturers who are here, and that's a program that really starts in the fall and then runs through the spring. This year, we launched a new program called Congregational Conversations, where we brought in Ari Shavit to talk about his book, My Promised Land. That was the start of our conversation, and then since then, we've had a monthly keynote and then also monthly small group book style discussions so that we can engage directly with our congregants and talk about the issues that are meaningful to them. And so these are just some examples of really high quality programs that we're putting on here that we would love to have more people come out to.
Great. And let's talk a little bit about you. Where are you from? You're not a native Washingtonian, right?
No, I'm not from here. I'm originally from Gainesville, Florida. So small town Florida girl. Very proud of the University of Florida, but I did not attend.
Those are the Gators.
Yeah,
right?
They're the Gators. I can't even remember my first Gator game. But when you're from a town that's a college town, it's your whole life is kind of wrapped up in things like orange and blue and going to football games. And I moved here 4.5 years ago to attend American University, and then from there ended up working for another Jewish organization, the Jewish War Veterans of the USA. And then I came to Washington Hebrew this past July.
Oh, wow. And what about your Jewish background? What role did Judaism play in your life growing up in Gainesville, Florida?
So in Gainesville, there aren't a lot of other Jews, except for the ones that go to the University of Florida. So it was an interesting community to grow up in. My parents are both from Miami, which has a very strong Jewish population, and kind of ended up in North Florida. There weren't really a lot of other Jewish kids, so I was kind of a only Jew. But my parents have a very strong commitment to their Jewish identities. They're very passionate about being Jews, and they made sure to instill that pride in me and in my brothers. I didn't do a lot Jewishly growing up beyond becoming a bat mitzvah, and I did go to Jewish camp, and kind of wasn't doing a lot with Judaism, and I ended up going to Brandeis.
For your undergrad?
For my undergrad. I went to Brandeis, which was interesting because I went from being very much, there were no other Jewish kids in my class in high school to suddenly being a majority, which was just extremely confusing to be a majority after being such an extreme minority. So yeah, after that, Judaism has had I'm going to say an up and down impact on my life. While I was at Brandeis, I was not as engaged Jewishly because I felt like I didn't have to. After carrying the weight of being Jewish and alone or beyond my family for so long, I was like, oh, well, now all of these other people can be Jewish for me. And it wasn't until leaving Brandeis that I began to re-engage and to find a way to channel my pride in being a Jew into, how to bring it into my everyday life and into my professional life.
And how would you describe your Jewish identity or your relationship with Judaism now?
I would say that my relationship with Judaism is just, and it's part of it is being immersed in a Jewish environment, and certainly working at a synagogue for the past 8 months is growing. It's just constantly deepening. So right now I'm actually taking a class here. We're having a 12 Jewish questions class, which is it's kind of a first of its kind sort of class that is designed to have adults, re-engage with Jewish questions at a level that's deeper than most of us got in Sunday school and Hebrew school, just because you can't engage at an intellectual level with Judaism when you're, below the age of 13. And so I'm taking that and I'm learning a lot from it and having, some of these questions that I've had as an adult, we're exploring. And so that's certainly very helpful. And also just interesting because Judaism is the history is so rich and so deep. And as an adult, it's something that I can appreciate at a level that I just never had thought about before, never cared about before. And so that's something that I'm actively exploring now.
Cool. And are there any organizations in town that you're involved with or nationally?
So I try to split myself between going to many of the young professional Jewish events around the city, just because I like to talk about Washington Hebrew. I like to talk about what we're doing here. I'm certainly very proud of our programming, in particular our 22 to 39 auxiliary, or 2239 auxiliary, which is for 22 to 39-year-olds. But also because I like to go to events. I like to talk to other people. I like to network and be social and do just different things. So some of the groups that I also engage with, AJC's Access Program, the Young Professionals Program through Jewish Federation, Nova Tribe Series. If it's young and Jewish, I want to be there. So,
Gotcha. And what do you think are some of well, if you were to describe DC's Jewish scene to someone from out of town, maybe the one other Jew back in Gainesville who's not a Gator, how would you describe it? And where do you see room for change or improvement?
So I came here most recently from Massachusetts. So I was, in the Boston scene before DC. And I have to say, compared to what I've heard from friends elsewhere, I mean, we may not have as many Jews as other Jewish communities, but we have this full range of programming that I just don't think that you see other places. I mean, my calendar sometimes is out of control. Like, there's just an event. I'm going to an event tonight. I mean, we just have so much to offer, and there's something for everyone, no matter, if you're secular to Orthodox, there's some kind of programming here for you. And I think, wow, that's amazing. We also have and part of this is being in DC, just a lot of Jewish organizations, great histories, and just doing a lot of great work. So it's amazing. What I would love to see is for our community to do more to tap into the people on the peripheries. You go to a lot of these events, many of the same people are there, and I think that, we need to do more. As a communications person, I feel this especially hard. We need to do more to get those people to move from being, I'm just going to go to, one event once a year, to coming to more events, to meeting more people, so that our community can become more rich. The more people who are involved, the richer our community will be.
Gotcha. And do you have any hobbies? What do you do in your free time when you're not at one of these young Jewish person events?
So, no hobby. No, I have a lot of hobbies. My favorite thing to do is, it's such a Jewish answer, my favorite thing to do is eat. I just love eating. I love going to the new restaurants in town. So I have some friends who also feel very passionately about eating. We see a new restaurant in the paper, we're like, guys, when can we schedule a time to go? This is really important. I have I made a reservation 2 months ago for the new Jose Andres place, because I was like, we just have to get this on the books, and they're very booked up. We got to get this. So that's going to be my late April activity. In addition, I studied film at Brandeis, and also the news. So I am very intense about watching the news. I come home, I turn it on. Sometimes I will have the news on for 4 hours. I don't know what I'm getting from that because that's a lot of news time, but I just want to see what's happening in the world. And I mean, I like going to the movies also for that same reason.
And out of curiosity, you said you're a big foodie. You love to eat. Do you have any favorite restaurants here in DC?
I just went to Rose's Luxury for the first time. If I hadn't done that about 2 weeks ago, my answer would probably be something different, but it was an amazing experience from start to finish. And the staff there was also they were a happy staff who actually really liked their job. So I'm gonna give them some praise.
Yeah, that's their thing up here. I just went there for the first time too, actually, in early March. My boyfriend took me for my birthday. It was awesome, and apparently their thing is like making people happy. And before you went, before this 2 weeks, what would you have said? You have like a go-to standby?
Go-to standby is, it's probably Founding Farmers. I mean, it's not maybe the most spectacular restaurant in town, but at the same time, every time I go there, it's solid. They have an extensive menu, so everybody who comes with me is always happy. And if you can make everyone in your party happy, I mean, that's always a feat, because you know there's always one person with you, if you're a group of 4 or more, who's like, it was okay.
I hear you. Is there anything else that we should know about you? Anything else that you want to add? Or maybe something that is there anything that people don't know about you? That's not some big hush-hush secret, just something that people
so many secrets.
You know what I mean, though? Just something that people wouldn't necessarily know.
God, I don't know. I'm pretty chatty. I tell people all my secrets. Sometimes I forget that I have secrets, and then I'm like, oh, let me tell you this. This used to be a secret. No, I mean, just as I guess a closing, when I moved here 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago now, I came here kind of thinking, well, I'm going to go someplace else, because that's just the story of DC. And I feel like, after 2 years here, I had a whole change of heart and realized this is a very amazing place, and it's fascinating to see the people cycle in and out, and to have new people coming into your social group. You never get that, stale feeling, or I don't. I know other people do because they leave. I don't ever get the stale feeling of I've been here for too long, and so this is my place. This is where I'm staying. So I really love DC. Happy I came here. Happy to make it my home.
That's really nice. And it's true, not everyone feels that way. But as someone who does feel the same way, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
I think we've got it.
All right. I can take this off.